Addington Raceway, Addington News, yes, brought to you in the corridor actually, on your way out if you were lucky enough to be a winner past the Brecon winning Owners Bar. But Darren, we had a really good race night last Friday night, terrific performances on the track. Oscar Bodavina, he was outstanding in the mile, now goes to the Fred Shaw this week. Got close to $350,000, so he's had his injury problems and he's looked a superstar at times, but he was excellent last week.
As we said, he ran second in that race last year to Muscle Mountain, got home really good, and he did the same thing. Good drive by Liv Thornley,
yep.
And we know he's a good horse when he's right, so it was good to see. The Ultimate Racebook had him a lot quicker because he come round the field, and one thing that we did pick up on last week when we were talking about that, Greg, was Royden Muscle.
Yep, and Royal Dell.
And Royal Dell. So they've run 1 and 3, and they were two that the Ultimate Racebook picked up. So, you know, as we say, we encourage you to have a look at that. Doesn't always work,
no,
of course,
absolutely. Yep.
But sometimes gives you a little hint that they perhaps have gone better than they might have.
Yeah, right. It's premier race night this week, and looking forward to obviously the Fred Shaw. And Fred was a great character of the Canterbury Park Club, a steward for I think 27 or 28 years or thereabouts. So yeah, look, it's always great to have his name associated with this race. And Muscle Mountain won it 2 years ago, and he gets another opportunity to join a pretty elite group of 4 or 5 trotters that have won it a couple of times.
Yeah, Group 1 there, plus the Fahey Fence Hire Autumn Free for All at Group 3 level for the Pacers. We've got a Magnus Benroe Fillies heat kicking that off. Canterbury Breeders Stakes, Canterbury Breeders Association sponsoring that. Small field there, 7 horses for mares in other races.
Yep.
Disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we want fillies and mares races, but we don't actually want to go in them.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Does your head in, to be quite honest, but good luck to the ones that are there, and it is a really quality group of 7
we've got
horses.
the Oaks winner there, and no matter what, and we've got some other smarties and Folklore and those sorts of horses. So yeah, we love to see them going around. The Derby winner Nazareth in race 4 goes back to a stand. Don't think it'll be a problem and be very hard to beat. I hope O'Connor gets its chance to go 4 from 4, and Coravelli Star, I'm not totally convinced it'll be able to beat Krug and a couple of others in there, Beach Ball and Bollinger's in there, but have a crack at it for top 3, top 4, because he's got really good gate speed, and I think he's a fantastic chance in that. But we'll do a full meeting preview very shortly for you. A couple other things people need to remember: Owners Night on the 5th of May.
Yeah, so we launched that yesterday, the save the date. Friday the 5th of May, it's going to be a good meeting. It's not a purchase a ticket situation, but you can reserve tables, and I think prior to the last one we had about 270 already booked.
Yep.
So I'm picking that it'll go pretty close to being full. So if you're wanting to come to that, let us know.
It's like an expo, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's a whole lot of things
there. A whole lot of stuff for owners in there. There's an awful lot of prizes.
Yes.
You know, welcome drink, a bit of food. There's a food special, which will be a buffet out in the foyer, and a number of other wee surprises that happen on the night. But first and foremost, recognising owners, the existing owners, the owners with horses racing that night, and the potential owners, so encouraging existing owners to bring people with them that might be interested in the sport, and those people go into their own wee draws, including the experience of racing a horse on the night, going down the stables
and being part of
the whole situation. So that's a thing coming up in the next bit of time. Also a bit of music this Friday night, Greg, and Spectators after the races. Crusaders kick off about 9:30 as well, so
yeah, there's plenty on.
There's plenty on after a premier night, and it's going to be a good race night.
All right, we're going to not leave you, but we're going to go to this, because if you know we continually talk about Chunky's Corner, and you probably think to yourself, well, who the heck is Chunky? His name is Kevin McClintock. He's on the ground staff here. He's an absolute character. He actually trained and drove quite a few winners in the United States.
Mate, talk about passion. This guy, not only for the racing industry, but for what he does for Addington, along with a huge team. But you talk about a bit of passion here, and he absolutely loved this, grabbing his first win as an amateur.
As an amateur, in Peter Holmes's colours, so combining with one of the great names in our sport. And here he is, the man they call Chunky, getting through and hitting the lead, and he's looking across and he's thinking, gee, I've got about 50 metres to go here. Can I hold on? Am I going to get there? And as he hits the line, have a look at the salute here. Have a look at that. I'm not too sure what he was reaching for in the sky, maybe some divine intervention, but there he is, Kevin McClintock, an absolute character. If you ever come to Addington Raceway, you'll see him here both on race day and working. He's big on his lawns and stuff out there. He loves procuring the place and making sure it looks in great order. And we were really wrapped for you, Chunky, getting that win there on Sunday at Oamaru. And yeah, characters like him and people with his passion in the game is why we are still in the game after all these years.
There's plenty of people with all of that passion for the sport, and we love it. And recognising someone that really enjoyed his day out at Oamaru. And I'm pretty sure...
I'm not so sure about the black colours, and I say this with the greatest respect, Chunky. Black is normally thinning or something like that, but maybe it's the vest. We'll put it down to the vest that you had to wear.
It's a safety thing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll leave that there because I'm going to cop it from him now, and we'll see you very shortly for a full race preview, and we'll also look back at one of the really good mares that this country has produced, one over Kenny, winning the Fred Shaw. So we'll do that once we've done the full race preview.
Right, full meeting preview for a Premier Night, Greg. $15,000 maiden, 20,000 minimums. We've kept those stakes up over and above where we're at, recent times. So trying to make sure these premiers are really positive. IRT, Your Horse, Our Passion, Mobile, 1980, and we get underway 5:19.
Yeah, return of Final Collect. Last start performance, of course, was here on Grand Prix Day. It was in behind Don't Stop Dreaming. Wouldn't need to go much better than that, to be absolutely honest. I know it's fresh up, but has trialled and trialled okay behind La Rosa. They sort of got away the top 4 or 5 there, but I thought it found the line okay. I expect Blair to be pretty positive, and therefore I think Final Collect will take all sorts of beatings. So I'll go for it ahead of Steph's Boy. Final Collect's only won the one race, but Steph's Boy's won 4. So I suppose it's pretty well off in this up to 47 rated race. So Steph's Boy's second here, 2 starts back behind Major Talk was good. Okay last time, but is much better than that. So I'm happy to have it in. Barnstormer might be the upset prospect in the race. Nothing went right at Mata Carrara. Has raced consistently well here at Addington, so I give it a chance. And Tuapeka-Lou's trialled nicely since its last start performance. It was in that same La Rosa trial. La Rosa got through on the inside, and yeah, I thought Tuapeka-Lou was pretty good. It's not going to be easy from the inside the second row, but with any luck, it can be in the finish too. 6, 8, 4, and 10.
Race number 2, the first leg of the early quaddie, Woodland Stud supporting Our Future Mobile Trot, 1980, 5:47.
Yeah, Tectonic came out of Confessional's Group 1 winning performance back in December. First up at the Mott, trotted away beautifully and was simply too good. So the Mobile will be even of greater assist. I like Tectonic. I think he's going to go a fair way. He's trained by the master Paul Nairn, and I've got him on top in this one. To beat Bella Button, who's low flying for Mark Jones, comes up with a barrier draw again. Get this though, Darren, it's rated at 44. How well has she been placed? She's raced in a 39 to 50, a 35 to 55, and a 39 to 60 last time, and she's won all 3, and she goes into a 40 to 50 year. So there's an example of using the system to your advantage. She's a big chance. Walking on Sunshine, last start 4th was excellent in that Group 1 we just talked about. Gets into this race beautifully. It was against the fillies, actually, the trotters behind High Energy. Has trialled nicely, including a last start trial win, although there was only 2 in it. You've got to consider it. And what's wanted creatine, as is Walking on Sunshine, that I think's going to go a wee way. So I give it some sort of chance too. 14 to beat 3, 7, and 13. Pretty good race though, that second.
Race number 3, the Canterbury Standardbred Breeders Association Breeders Stakes for Mears, Mobile 1980, 6:13, and appreciate the support the breeders give the industry and the Canterbury branch. Very active, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely they are, and they deserve to get a bigger field than this, Darren, but that's already been touched on. No matter what, the Oaks winner comes up with barrier 4. Thought she might be vulnerable first up. Well, she wasn't vulnerable. She was too good. She beat Kikarangi Blue. It got held up a little bit. I'll be really interested to see what happens early if Olivia decides to press the go button, which I have a feeling she might, and gets past Kikarangi Blue, who should be able to hold La Rosa, who's good off the gate, and Taylor Me, who's absolutely going great at the moment. Then I think no matter what will win. It's $1.75, and I think the bookies have got that about right. Kikarangi Blue can absolutely run top 4, maybe even top 2. La Rosa's trialled nicely and is a quality horse. She's won a couple of 100,000. You don't do that without being excellent. And then I didn't know what to do, Darren. Folklore, leave her out at your peril, gets the right run. You'll know at the 500 metre mark, you'll be like, oh my God, why don't I on her? And Better's Tart's been racing off marks and gets into free-for-all against her own sex. So I actually put her in front of Folklore because I think she can do a little bit more work in her races. 4, 1, 2, and 7. So I've left out Giselle, and you know that she's pretty talented too.
Race number 4, House of Travel, Christchurch City Handicap Trot 2600 at 6:40, and they're going to have a team on course, House of Travel. They'll be having a brilliant night, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. They will. They're up in the old President's Suite there, the top level. So good luck to them, and I hope they enjoy themselves, and I'm sure they will. And Nazareth, I think, can win this. Won the Derby, of course, in December. First up run. Gee, it was unlucky. Held up in behind them. A perfect return to the racetrack in many respects. And back to a stand, you might be worried, but he's handled it in the past. And often I am concerned when 3-year-olds come back as 4-year-olds for their first stand, but it's normally their first start. Hopefully he's settled enough, and I know John's got a massive opinion of him, John Dunn. So I'm happy to have him on top to beat Confessional, who comes back from his Group 1 win back here at Addington on the 4th of December on Grand Prix Day. He's won from a stand. He's trained by the master Paul Nairn. A lot of respect there. Cormorant Strike's a horse I like. And I think he's going to go a wee way. He takes on a good field here, but I reckon he'll be competitive. And the Bloss is always competitive. She steps so quickly, she'll probably be in front of those 5 off the front early on. And therefore, she's a great first 4 hope. I've left out Royden Muscle and I've left out Royal Dell. That's the depth of race number 4, Darren. So it'll be one of the best betting races of the night.
Race number 5 is the last leg of that early quaddie. Matt Harrison, Construction Mobile Pace 1980, excuse me, at 7:06. And Matt and his team on course in Silk Sweet, I think, Greg.
Yeah, 20 of them going in there, and they'll have a great night too. And he's actually been a good supporter in the most recent times. And if you're thinking construction, get onto his website because there's plenty of information about that, both domestic and commercial, with him. Hoke O'Connor has won 3 from 3, and each time he's looked an even better horse. I can't see any reason why he won't win this as well. Tim Williams is back in the bike because he's been over in Australia, and Johnny Cox has been steering him, and he's been having a whole lot of fun steering him too. He's a pretty good horse, this guy. I'm not really sure where the bottom of him is yet. Magic 4, first up here, was 5th, less than 2 lengths behind Bollinger. Of course, he was the Harness Million winner back as a 2-year-old. From memory. He's a smart enough horse, Magic 4. It might have been as a 3-year-old. Gee, it's hard sometimes to work out with this change of calendar, but he's good enough to be in this, Darren. Coney Island Lou, who was second 2 starts back in behind a Hoke O'Connor and then came out and won here last week, was good in doing so. And I really liked Sweet Belle as a mare. You forget that she ran 3rd, I think it was in the Oaks a couple of years ago. She's smart enough, fresh up after a workout, where it says she finished 2nd at Monte Carrara, but I've watched it a few times. I'm sure she got up and won. She's good enough fresh up to be in this. And then you've got Topaz, Jimmy Ray, First Class, Star Casino, won so good last time. Another really good race, 8, 9, 1 and 4.
Race number 6 is the first heat of the Magnus Benroe Sire Stakes 3-year-old fillies series, of course, administered by the Sire Stakes Board. Long-time sponsor John Magnus and Magnus Benroe. The family have been involved in harness racing for a very long time, and of course look after all the video content at Alexandra Park. And John, of course, got to the top with the fixer, Greg, winning a New Zealand Cup.
Yeah, he did. 2018, finished 2nd in the following Miracle Mile behind Spankham. He's just a great bloke, John, and he's always supported racing. He's always been a big part of it through his Magnus Benroe stores. Go to magnusbenroe.co.nz. They deliver all over the country, and they deliver with haste. So support him because he's always supporting us. Fortify, Jean Feast has got a smartie here. She had her first start a couple of weeks ago here at Addington, and she won home in 55.3. Plug still in. Same barrier draw, same driver, same result for mine. Can't see her beaten. Bookies open her $1.40. She'll be through so many multis it won't be funny. Black Pearl's a filly with a bit of talent. She's out of the Group 1 performer, and Laura Alla was a former Jules winner. Comes up with a good barrier of 3. I'd imagine Fortify will lead, but I think Black Pearl will be the hardest for her to beat. Mon Lonkham, again, out of a Jules winner, and Lonkham, bred by Brian West, stud-owned bloodstock. He races this one too. First up win, excellent. And what a minx I can see dropping straight behind Fortify with just a front line, so therefore has to be a first 4 hope. 1, 3, 6 and 2 in the 6th.
Race 7 is the first leg of the late quaddie, the Fred Shaw Memorial New Zealand Trotting Championships at Group 1 level. 2600 mobile, 803 Greg. And this is one of these races that's becoming really sought after as a win on a horse's resume as a trotter. Fred Shaw, as you mentioned earlier, a real character around Addington, did so much for us. Him and Gary Thompson, very, very loyal supporters of the raceway.
Yeah, and they've been associated with this race for 20 years. In one way or another, collectively, and since Fred's passing in 2013. So he bequeathed the money for the sponsorship of this, and it goes through to 2026. And he wanted his name associated with a good trotting race and wanted that to continue when he passed. And he'd be delighted that Muscle Mountain's in this race. Sunday Sun won it the previous year, and Muscle Mountain won it 2 years ago. All the good horses win this race, and he's a really good horse, Muscle Mountain. I think Ben will just balance him up. I understand he wasn't 100% over the weekend with a bit of the flu. I reckon this horse would get him out of bed pretty quickly. So we hope he's bounced back from that. And he should be too good. He should just make his way to the top. There'll be a bit of a rush early to see who can get his back. John Dunn knows what it's like to follow Muscle Mountain, so he might be trying to do that with Artie by the Hill. Midnight Dash will be doing the same, and Oscar Bonavina was so good last time, so expect him to press forward. I marked them 5-2-3, and I chucked in Time Up the Hill. She's been cruelled a little bit by the draw, because you can imagine she'll get back behind all of her main rivals, and that won't make it easy for her. But 5-2-3 and 8, probably Artie by the Hill. If you're playing top 3, top 4, you've probably got to have it in too.
Race number 8's the pacing feature of the night, the Group 3 Fahey Fence Hire Autumn Pacing Mobile over 1,980 metres at 8:40. Greg and Fahey Fence Hire loyal sponsors as well at the raceway. Go and have a look at their site. It's not just fencing that they have. There's a number of other products that they have for hire, but gee, they're a big part of Canterbury. There's fences everywhere at times.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're really smart with their advertising too, because their logo's on all of their fences, and therefore it's everywhere. You're right. Good race. There'll be a few people say you're mad tipping Corrivelli Star to beat Krug, but he's got early gate speed. And I reckon Cherie might have a crack early. She might even try and get across them. And if she does, the form he's in, Darren, he's just flying. He put those couple of wins together over the short course here, the mile, and then, of course, he won 3 starts back at the 2,000 metre stand. And then he had a bit of a freshen up, and he came out. He just went terrific last week. His sectionals were outstanding behind Samstown. So I give him a really good chance. Krug's the logical winner of the race, and if he's going to the race by grins in a couple of weeks, he basically has to win this, Darren. But there's one slot left. The connections of that slot holder, they'll be sitting watching him intently, and then if they don't take him, they've got to go with probably an inferior horse. So I'll go 7 to beat 8, but obviously Krug's come up a $3 favourite, deserves to be in that position. He's a sports trial nicely. Wouldn't shock me if he went a great race fresh up. He came out of that La Rosa trial, and before that Mossdale Ben, who obviously came out and won last week and won really well. And then you've got the other Purdon runners, Lumen, Shaley and Bollinger, who are both chances, and so's Beach Ball and the Falcon. So it's not just a line-up and win for Krug. I think you're going to get a great measure of where he's at in his career, and it is his 50th start, and he's been a great horse. So looking forward to the 8th.
Race number 9's the Premier Night Maiden. Greg, TK Plastering, Tyson Keats, Mobile Pace, 1980 at 9:08, and there won't be many of these that don't win a race in their career.
No, this is a really tricky race, hard one to work out all of the form. And of course, Tyson's got a sign over there by the 2 mile start point, and he's been a great supporter of Addington over the last couple of years. I spoke to Nathan Purdon about the pair, Major Hot and Vessam, and he said that they've both got a bit to learn. So I've gone with them on top just purely before I talked to him, and 1 to beat 7, probably from the barrier draw, but he didn't give me the, one of these will just win sort of feel. So that gives a chance to Adesanya. That definitely gives a chance to a horse like Dave Dooley, who's trolled quite nicely off the second row. Eastwood Dream keeps on racing well. Louis Maguire's got some breeding, is from the right barn. Yeah, there's enough in this that this will be the trap leg for the quaddie, and also pick 6, I'd say, Darren. So Hunters beware here. God damn, if it had drawn better, I think I would have had it way up the list too. But yeah, it's an interesting. I'll go 1, 7, 3, and 5. But not 5 because 5's out, Major Icon. I'll probably put Dave Dooley in because I didn't mind the way that it's been trialling.
Race number 10, as it normally is the First Direct Taxis Mobile Pace 1980 at 9:33. Sue and the team from First Direct will be on course. And as we say, if you've been having a good night, we don't want you drinking and driving. Grab yourself a First Direct taxi to get home.
Yep, absolutely, you should do. I reckon I don't often tip horses from the outside of the front row, but again, that discussion with Nathan, he said our biggest improver leading into a racetrack return has been OK Boomer. He said if it drawn 1 to 5, I would have absolutely labelled it to you. So I'm happy to go with it. Blair will be driving it, I would imagine. Last start 5th was in the big race behind Don't Stop Dreaming on Grand Prix Day, I think it was. No, it was actually in the Sire Stakes final. So has trialled, and it comes out of that same La Rosa trial we keep referring to. So I'll go with it, not with huge confidence. Major Talks positioned up beautifully again over this distance, as was the case last time. Ended up 3 back and charged through late and got the win over Steph's Boy. So I like it. Triple G's a horse I like. First up win was excellent. Has trialled nicely. And I give it a chance from the draw. Vinca B nearly won on Cup Day, narrowly beaten on that occasion. Better Be Sharp, Coachella. Good race, Darren. Boris O'Kane, a horse that Bruce Negus has talked about in glowing terms. So, yeah, 9, 3, 4 and 2, but it's one of those nights, if you have a good night, you'll have a great night because there's a lot of depth to a lot of these fields.
A lot of these races, Greg, will have some horses that have gone home rather quickly. And having a look at the Ultimate Race Book as we lead to next week's Easter Saturday meeting, which includes, of course, those racing rewards races for $27,000. There'll be some real solid form to come out of this. It'll be worth following next week. As we said, some music and spectators after the races on Friday night. Also, the Crusaders game will be on the TVs in there. And we're going to leave you with, I think it was a 2009 win Correct. By One Over Kenny, course for Lex and Heather Williams, reigning breeder of the year. Lex Williams with a very small and select group of broodmares, but this one was an absolute beauty, Greg. She was a real bit of a darling of the trotting gate at this time, and she was almost unbeatable for a period of time. We'll have a look at her on the way out.
Yeah, she won $1 million, and this was one of her very good wins.
And the third quarter as they swing for home, 29.5 down the straight now, and the leader still is One Over Kenny. And down on the inside we've got King Charlie Sunled battling on down the outside. Battling also is Glenn Bogle. Water out Midnight Invasion, but she's too good. One Over Kenny down to the line to win it, no trouble. Second home was King Charlie Sunled was third, then lived the dream making ground late. Springbank Richard, and over on the outside Midnight Invasion.